All right, everybody. Tough loss for the Celtics at home tonight, 114-110 to the Denver Nuggets. We're going to recap everything from that game, and then we're right around the corner from All-Star, and I think it's about time that we start having a Derrick White conversation. So we're going to jump into that a little bit today, plus anything that you got in the chat. We are live on YouTube, live on Twitter, so make sure that you guys are rocking with us. If you're joining us, get those chats going here. Otherwise, if you're listening the day after, sit back, relax, scream with envy. You guys know the deal. Let's lock in. What up, what up, what up? Welcome into another edition of Green with Envy. This is a Green with Envy post-game live. Celtics fall 114-110 to the Jokic-less Denver Nuggets. As always, this is what Will Weir checking in. How you doing? How you living? Joining me, as he does each and every time, my best friend, co-host, and the coach of our podcast, the one and only Greg Menankis. Greg, for tonight, we're gonna definitely dive right into this game. But I want to start real quick and ask you a question, or ask you to let me ask you a question to help explain to the audience here. You've had a long-standing relationship with bees, right? Like bees, like bumblebees, wasps. Like how many times do you think that you've been stung in your life?
Are you trying to get me to do like a Job from Arrested Development?
I mean, I already thought about how I wanted to set this up, and I was like, he's gonna go beads. Like I knew that was gonna happen, but that isn't where we're going. But your relationship with bees, you've had a rough one.
I mean, I've gotten stung a few times. I wouldn't say it's like too abnormal though. I feel like I've gotten stung, I don't know, 10 times or so.
I think that feels a little high. And maybe I think when you were younger, I feel like you had some bees.
Yeah, I went into a wasp nest one time and got stung pretty badly. But yeah, it happens to a lot of little kids.
Well, the reason I asked before we jump into this Nuggets Celtics game, the Kobe Hive kind of came after you a little bit. Some of these Kobe stands in the comments from a video that we posted on Instagram about you saying Jaylen Brown was Kobe-esque. Not a great follow-up tonight from Jaylen Brown. We'll talk about it. But I just wanted to do a wellness check on you because I did see a couple. I don't always really pay attention to a lot of the comments on whether it's YouTube or Instagram, but just today I happened to notice, like, man, there's a lot of replies on this one particular clip that we have, and I saw that you were defending yourself in there. So I wanted to check in since I interpreted you having a bad relationship with bees. I wanted to check on the Kobe Hive.
Thanks for asking. I honestly did it more because of the way that the comments were framed, that like we were just posting it for engagement, which is like, partially true. Is like that's Alex's job, right? Alex, the producer of the pod, he finds the clips that he thinks are going to do best on social media and post them. But what I said wasn't for engagement, right? I think that clip is where I'm comparing Jaylen to Kobe's right after Jaylen's 50-point masterpiece against the Clippers, which to this point is the high point of Jaylen's season, right? Tonight was the darker side of the Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, Jaylen Brown that we've seen in the past. And yeah, I'm okay though. I mean, I don't think it bothered me by any means. I was just, replying. And then once I started replying, I was like, you know what? This is actually causing more people to comment. So if the video does well because of this, then that's fine. Yeah.
Yeah. I just think it's interesting because when we posted the video, in my head, I wondered, because we're a Celtics podcast, but, I feel like when it comes to NBA fandom, the Kobe, LeBron, Michael triumvirate, like the niche fandoms around those three in particular. And I think Kobe takes the cake as far as like how adamant and passionate those specific Kobe stands are. Like those are the only things that I can compare to what people say about like Taylor Swift fans or, Beyonce type fans. And it's always really interesting because I'm not one of those guys. I've never really understood the people that are like, I just have this one guy and I'm just going to spend my entire existence defending this person. But that's what, like, Kobe has, and I've never understood it. So I was curious when we posted if that was gonna happen, and it didn't. I didn't think it was for the first day or so, and then I happened to see these comments, and so I wanted to just check it because I think it's really fascinating how people get so upset if you say anything against one of your quote unquote guys, if you're one of the stands for those three guys in particular. And I
In
did
that
like that you
game,
put in there that you
okay.
said like, hey, like I think Kobe's a little overrated if we're being honest. And that's the real truth. And I'm with you on that. So I thought that was great.
Kobe, I mean, like I really think Kobe's a top 12 to 15 guy all time, which is an amazing place to be.
Mm-hmm.
I think his like cultural impact, and obviously after his tragic passing,
Mm-hmm.
like the legend grows and the legend grows, and he had two great parts of his career. But even just like why I was never like really that scared of Kobe. Like anytime we played the Lakers, I really wasn't like worried about Kobe, if that's crazy to say. He's obviously a phenomenal player and is a huge reason why the Celtics did not get banner 18 prior to 2 years ago. But yeah, I thought Jaylen, in that game against the Clippers, there were plenty of plays that were reminiscent of Kobe, like the step throughs with the left hand and like all.
Kobe-esque. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. By the way, just got a text from Liptak seeing Shams tweeted 9 minutes ago. The Hawks are trading 4-time NBA All-Star Trae Young to the Washington Wizards for CJ McCollum and Corey Kispert.
Okay. All right. That's it. Yeah, I was wondering if that was going to break while we were on tonight. It felt like it was on the verge of happening because I think that it was announced CJ, who hadn't missed a game all year, was out, and then Trae has been out the last couple of games. And I love the bullshit work people do behind the scenes where it came out like 4 hours ago. Man, Trae Young has the Wizards at the top of his wish list. Like, all right, give me a break, guys. Like, we're not dumb. Like, that's clearly not the case. But you guys are trying to get a deal done, trying to make a good PR. Whatever.
Right. Yeah. That's a steal for the Wizards, man.
Yeah, I was gonna say I like the deal for the. It's probably one of like 3 teams that I would have been like, I like this deal, but it's just like you're not giving up anything, right? Like you're giving up CJ McCollum, who's on an expiring contract. Essentially, like it's a free shot at Trae Young, who ultimately is probably for like the young core they have really good for them to lift them up to play in more competitive games that will help their development. And as long now here's the big caveat to it. As long as they don't give Trae Young like a big extension, then it becomes a really bad trade. If they do that, then it's like, I don't care that they gave up nothing. It's a bad trade. But if they leave it as is, play it this year, and I think he has a player option for next year that he's likely picking up, and it's a 1.5 year run while you develop the Sar, the Trey Johnson, the Koulibaly, and everybody else that they have. Like, I think it's a great move for them and just gets you more competitive high level games. And you're seeing what that does for a team like the Spurs last year that had a bunch of young guys that got experience, and now look what they're doing. So I think it's actually a really good move for the Wizards. And I think for the Hawks, like the Trae Young and just run its course. Like, kind of crazy they didn't get, and we'll see if any other news comes up. They didn't get even like a pick out of this.
Right.
Like that's the kind of crazy part for all the Trae Young hoopla over the years.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see if the Wizards now try to make like another move to pair somebody else with Trae Young, or if like this is just buying low on a guy, right? Like Trae Young has led a team to the Eastern Conference Finals. He is an offense unto himself. It's just the physical limitations of Trae have always been the issue with him. And I think if you're a Wizards fan, you got to be happy about it. To your point, it's just, do they compound the mistake and then give him 5 years, $250 million, which would be like insane. If they end up giving him like 5 for 150, I think that might end up okay. So good news for the Wizards. It'll make them more fun to watch. They're already like, on some nights you catch them on the right night, they're pretty fun to watch. So
Sar's good, man. I like Sar a little bit. I've seen
Sar's good. I like with the George kid, he's good too. So
yeah, I was get him and the kid in Utah confused. One's Keontae George, one's Keyshawn George. I think Keyshawn George is the one in Washington. But yeah, we'll see if any other updates come out with that. But that was something that's going to start trade season. So we'll talk a little bit more, because Celtics are going to be involved in some rumors, some more Zubac rumors. We're making their way around the news cycle earlier. But let's get back to the game that just wrapped here, Greg, and let's talk a little bit about it here. Celtics lose to the Nuggets at home, 114-110. No Jokic in this one. No Cam Johnson. Nuggets now 3-2 since Jokic went down, including essentially their zombie G League team beat the Sixers the other night. So they're
Mm-hmm.
having a hell of an East Coast trip here, knocking off the Sixers with no Jokic, with none of their starters playing. Tonight, they got Christian Brown back. He played, so they had him, Jamal Murray, and Aaron Gordon was in the lineup. So they had a little bit more of their core, minus obviously Jokic and no Cam Johnson.
And who needs Nikola Jokic when you got Zeke Naji?
Yeah, I mean, it was a really impressive win for Denver tonight. And for the Celtics, let's start with them, Greg.
Okay.
You mentioned Jaylen. We talked about Jaylen Brown a little bit at the top. He had such as his magnum opus against the Clippers with his 50-point game. Celtics got a win last game against the Bulls. Almost everybody besides the Inferno was pretty blah in that game. This game here, Jaylen Brown scores 15 points in the first quarter, ends up with 33 points on 29 shots, 7 turnovers. This, and you said this to me off air, this is kind of what we feared was going to be the consistent version of Jaylen Brown all season. Luckily, this has been the exception and not the rule, but it did happen. Not the greatest Jaylen Brown game tonight.
Yeah, I thought it was one of his worst games of the season by far. Just the willingness to kind of play into the gambit that the Nuggets were running on defense, where they were more willing to switch some of their bigger defenders onto him, and like the Zeke Najis of the world able to hold up in a switching defense. Jaylen got caught up in pick and rolls. Peyton Watson did a really good job staying connected when Jaylen would kind of get him on his hip. Just everybody was handsy, a lot of help being shown there. And Jaylen just didn't operate well in those spaces. And I thought the ball got really sticky. And I thought Jaylen just played with blinders on pretty much the entire game. I thought it was his worst game of the season that I can remember off the top of my head, despite having the stat of 33 points, 7 rebounds, 4 assists. It just wasn't the MVP level JB that we've seen, but also we didn't get like on par performances from anybody really, aside from Cato, who had 20 rebounds in this game.
Yeah, I want to pause on Cato because I want to come back to him for sure and here in just a second. But I do think Jaylen playing outside of himself, if you will, in this game compared to how he's played this season, I think you could kind of feel that with the team, right? Like I think it changed the dynamics of where everyone thought they should be. And there was a play, I think it was in the third quarter, where there was just everyone standing around. Jaylen's on the wing. And I can't remember if he went for a back down and got doubled. And then he's just kind of standing there waiting for something to do. And like Hauser makes this cut across the court just to give him an outlet. And Jaylen's kind of already seemingly a little frustrated, makes a pretty bad like entry pass to Hauser at the free throw line. But it was also like Hauser was in like a spot that he's never in. He was just doing it to bail him out because it was such a bad possession. And that to me was kind of embodied the vibe of what, especially in that second half, what the offense felt like. And I was like, they might just not just have it tonight if that's the kind of stuff that we're getting.
Yeah, we weren't able to crack them off the dribble, get into the paint, draw two, and kick. That was that's been the MO of this offense, is playing that advantage basketball, paint touches, and all that. I thought the Nuggets just did a really good job being physical. I think the referees played a part in it, just allowing both teams to be physical. There weren't many free throws shot in this game, and I don't necessarily think it was for lack of trying. I felt like the Celtics were trying to get to the basket. It did seem like Jaylen had a bad whistle tonight. He was getting hit a lot, but he was also forcing it a lot. So I think he let the physicality get to him a little bit. And then you got to give credit to the Nuggets defense, because Peyton Watson did a hell of a job on him. Aaron Gordon, whenever he got switched on to Jaylen Brown, did well. And then Zeke Naji was, aside from Jamal Murray, the most impactful guy on the court for them.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't leave out Peyton Watson in this game. Peyton Watson had 30 points, 6 rebounds.
True. Yeah.
When 10 or
I did
15,
already mention him, but yeah, you're not wrong.
Yes. Yeah. Just adding him to that list. So for the Nuggets, man, really gutty win. And actually, something I was thinking about the other night, I watched some of the Nuggets Cavs. I think it was like last week. Sneaky guy that I really enjoy playing is Jamal Murray. I just like the little like hoppiness bounce that he has to his game. I just find it very aesthetically pleasing. And like when he gets
Bad Body
on,
Jay.
and when he gets on a heater, like I think he's an underrated, one of the best heat check guys in the league. That like, and he didn't necessarily have that tonight. Tonight was more just kind of like a steady game for Jamal Murray.
17
but
assists.
The times when what's that?
17 assists.
Yeah, and that's I mean that's filling the Jokic role right? That's filling the void of what you get every night in and night out. And so, he's doing the assist thing instead of doing the, hey, I'm going to be Jamal Murray, score 35 points, right? And get his team involved. And that's what this team needed tonight. And that's what really worked for the Nuggets. For the Celtics, I think you made a good point. Most guys kind of played below their level, not just Jaylen Brown tonight. Derrick White, 7 of 19 from the field. Peyton Pritchard, only 5 of 13, 1 of 6 from 3 for Pritchard, 3 of 12 from 3 for Derrick White. That's always going to be tough to get it done. But one of the guys that I want to talk about here that I think had a great game was Neemy. I was really impressed with Neemy. He finishes the night with only 6 points, but 20 rebounds, 10 offensive, 10 defensive, had some really impressive rebounds where I didn't even think he had a chance to get some of these rebounds, and he still found a way to just battle for it and get them. Give me your thoughts on his performance, and then I have a comment that I want to get your thoughts on.
Well, you had probably about 5 me bounds, right? So it's probably more like it was like 15.
The Angel Reese special that I suggested in the preseason, we did see a couple of those tonight.
Yeah, but I just think his motor is such a game changer for him this year. I made that comment a few weeks back about that being the biggest difference for him is he has the cardio of an NBA starter now. And I was surprised that Missoula kind of had him on the bench the last 8 minutes of the game because he was so impactful up until that point. You pointed at the screen for those that are just listening, so go ahead.
Well, that's where I wanted to go because this is Joe Mazzulla's having a great coaching year. These are some of the decisions that I still get really frustrated with that I just don't simply understand. And like I'm looking at the box score right now, his plus minus is minus 16. It didn't feel like that when I was watching the game. I know that's what it says, but I just didn't. The plus minus can be, a little bit misleading. It feels misleading from what my eyes watched tonight. But something I looked up, Greg, right before we came on, or as they were shooting kind of like those last free throws, is I wanted to check when did Neemy come out in that fourth quarter, because I thought Neemy's use tonight, like he played, I think, just under 25 minutes. I thought his use was really strange tonight in that fourth quarter, because if you remember, or in the second half, excuse me, he gets subbed out real early in the second half, like 3-4 minutes in. And I think one of the commentators was like, oh, Neemy looks a little winded or whatever. So he was out for a bit. And then he came in for a really long stretch. And that's where he was really awesome. Got a bunch of offensive rebounds. And then the fourth quarter, he gets subbed out when the game was.
Okay. I made a note. The game was
go for it.
tied. The game was tied 90-90 with about 7 minutes left out of a timeout.
Tell me what happened after that, Greg.
The Nuggets won the game.
Yeah.
The Nuggets go on this like ridiculous run where the Celtics can't do anything on either side of the court. So I'm actually surprised his number was a minus 16 because
same.
I that was crazy to see Joe Mazzulla decide to take him out. Maybe he was just to go against my point about his NBA level cardio now. Like maybe he was just gassed because he was expending a ton of energy getting those rebounds. But I think you got to put Keita back in that game. Like, I don't know, the moment it gets to 99-90.
Well, here's the thing. And then you get down to about it's about 2.5 minutes later or so, you get to a point where you're subbing out guards. I remember I'm watching the broadcast and I'm like, okay, there's a sub coming in, but I didn't see who it was at the table. I'm like, this has got to be Neemy. And I'm watching to see who it is. The announcers haven't said who it is. I haven't heard, like, in the background. Sometimes you catch who's in, who's out. And I see 4 guys on the court, and I just don't see Garza. I'm like, okay, so Garza is out. It's got to be Neemy that's in. And then they pan out to show the possession, and it's Hauser. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, God damn. Like, what did you see that I didn't, that Neemy wasn't making an impact in this game? And I get we needed offense being down. I think it was 99-90 when these subs came in. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, we didn't get a stop for 3 minutes straight as soon as Keita left. And the broadcast talked about this. Like, with Keita in the lineup, Boston still has one of the best defenses in the league. It's all the minutes without Keita that our defense puts us kind of middle of the pack. And specifically, when you look at the Celtics lineups that are non-center lineups, they're great offensively. They're horrible defensively. Like, they're not good defensive numbers. So I don't know. That was a really weird moment for me for Joe, where I just didn't agree with that move.
Yeah, I thought it was crazy to take him out of the game at that point. He was so impactful. The the offense was pretty gummy. They were able to have an extra body in the paint, which I thought made it very difficult for Jaylen Brown and the rest of the guys to like really get to the rim. So much of like the extra body that they were showing off of Kada, which allowed him to get a lot of those rebounds was really impactful. But then there was like a possession right before they took him out, right after he had all those rebounds, where they actually stayed connected to Kada's body. And I want to go back to just go to the gameplay. So what was the last thing that happened? Let's see. When was the last
Talking about
bucket
before
that?
Kada was subbed out.
Yeah, before Kada was put. There was a Jaylen layup that he got at one point in the fourth quarter that I felt like maybe that was in the third quarter. It might have been in the third quarter. Yeah, but it was kind of strange just to see Kada come out larger point. Is I don't know what Mazzulla was thinking. I'm sure they're going to ask him about it in the post game because in the moment it felt crazy to take him out of that game.
And listen, the other guy who I thought was a little bit nuts that we didn't see more down the stretch, you talked about it getting gummy, not really a lot of like driving lanes. Anthony Simons was good again
Your
tonight.
boy,
Like, I
he's been
know,
great lately, dude.
He's saved the game against Chicago with his second half, and tonight I was impressed with him again. I felt like where's like to me the lineup that I was kind of looking for at the end of that game was almost like Derrick White, Jaylen, Simons, Pritchard, maybe, or maybe there you put in actually Ugo. Ugo would probably would have been the choice. I thought Ugo was making a real big impact in Kada. Like, and maybe that's not enough shooting, and then so you do got to have either Jordan Walsh, who's a little bit better of a shooter than Ugo, but something to that effect would have been the lineup that I would have thought would have been okay. This is going to give us our best chance to either close the gap or close this game out. And again, these are the type of stuff that with Mazzulla, I'm just end of game lineups, X's and O's. This really wasn't about X's and O's because the gap got so big so quickly. But this is the little stuff with Mazzulla that I just haven't quite gotten there with yet that lets me just be like, yeah, Mazzulla's my guy. Like this stuff still irks me a little bit.
Yeah, but to the point that you made earlier about Jaylen's game tonight being the exception this season, I feel like this is an exception to what we've seen out of Joe this season. He's done a really good job, and this was one of those games where I don't know if like what he saw. I'm really interested to see his post-game comments because it didn't make sense to me in the moment, and it still doesn't make sense to me now to take Kate out of that game. But I do think Pritchard was really what's the word I'm looking for? He was an issue on the defensive end. I think that they were able to kind of go pigeon hunting on him. Jamal Murray kept getting him isolated at the elbow. And I do think it probably would have made more sense to get Ugo in there, have Pritchard on the bench, Kada back in the game with Simons on the court, just to add that little extra ball handler and shooter that Pritchard normally brings to the table. But I thought Pritchard got exposed on the defensive end tonight, which doesn't happen very often because he plays well above his size. But I think tonight the Nuggets had a really good game plan attacking him, and Jamal Murray is one of those rare guys that can really take advantage of Peyton Pritchard.
Yeah, man, more Ugo tonight. This is the part that I struggle with. Like Ugo had 3 points tonight, and there was a rebound either I think it might have been end of the third quarter.
Yeah, it was the one that led to Simons 3.
Yeah, that was one of the best plays of the entire game for the Celtics. That was amazing. I think it was right around that point where there was also a Kada play that really stood out somewhere in that mix as well, maybe that you were referring to. But yeah, that Ugo play left the crowd rocking at the end of the third quarter. They get a big stop on the other end, and that momentum just didn't carry throughout the fourth with some of these changes that we're talking about. And so, looking at the Jordan Walsh got 13:45, and a lot of that was like kind of like at the end when the Celtics made this like weird comeback with like 3 minutes left. That's a big chunk of the minutes he got. Ugo made a massive impact, and then we just didn't kind of see him the last 75% of the fourth quarter. I don't know. Tonight was a tough game all around. Like you said, more of an anomaly tonight all around than anything else. And I think back to some of the points that we've made, the Nuggets just deserve a lot of credit for this game. The Nuggets played all the way through from start to finish, a lot more of a consistent game than the Celtics did.
Yeah, definitely. Anything else you want to hit on this game?
I don't think I have anything else on this particular game. Did you have anything that you wanted to go to or?
No, I mean, other than like I'm excited that I feel down again after a Celtics loss, because up to this point in the season, anytime the Celtics lost and we potted afterwards, I was kind of okay with it. I kind of have a bitter taste in my mouth from this game,
Right.
which is good. It shows that the
It's
Celtics
good
have
to
gotten to the point
be
that the expectations are now raised.
Yeah, it's good to be frustrated, right? Like
Mhm.
it's as much as I like funny enough that we've been like, man, it's so much better than last season. We don't have to care about anything. It's just all upside, whatever. Like it is kind of nice to be like, we should have won that fucking game.
Yeah.
like it does feel good to feel that way.
Yeah, I guess the last thing I thought about a couple times during the game was, this is a game where you really felt the impact of Jason Tatum not being on the court. It made me think about what this team would look like with Tatum back out there, just because of the way that the Nuggets started the game in their matchups, where they
Mhm.
have the great perimeter defenders in Christian Brown and Peyton Watson. Watson's on JB. Christian Brown, who's a phenomenal defender, is on Derrick White, right? So Derrick White has a really good defender on him for the entirety of the game. And I think you really felt that in this one, where Derrick
Mhm.
White was definitely forcing it, not able to get to his spots like he has been. And I think with Tatum out there now, one of those guys has to guard Tatum, and then the third defender, maybe it's Jamal Murray, ends up on Derrick White, right, and allows him to get off a little bit more. So I did feel Tatum's
Mhm.
um, impact not being out there a little bit more in this game than I have pretty much the entire season.
So let me ask you this, Greg. We kind of started this podcast with the Trae Young news, right? And like trade
Mhm.
season is coming here. And it's sounding more and more like the whispers are that the Celtics are going to be buyers as opposed to sellers, and they're out of the second tax apron. So the biggest thing is those restrictions that come with the moves that you can't make, trading draft picks, locked, matching exact salaries, all that type stuff. Like where they're at now, it's more just this Bill Chisholm, does he want to pay? And it sounds
Mhm.
like he's like, listen, as long as we're not being not having actual basketball sanctions against us, like it's money. Like we'll pay it. We'll find a way. We're billionaires. That's the whole point of owning a team, is like you're
Right.
willing to pay some of that money. And so I'm curious, and you don't have to give me a specific player, but I am curious, what type of player do you think? And it's up to you if you want to just assume Tatum's coming back with this
Mm.
answer, or if you want to just put Tatum to the side. I'll let you decide. Like, what is the type of player that you think the Celtics should be going after? We know another big, even though Luka Garza has been really good for the last 2 weeks. I would assume you and I are still on the same page. I don't feel great going in as Neemy, Keita, and Garza as my two bigs, but Keita plus another big, either equal to him or better. That's kind of where you
Mhm.
want to be. But like, what are some of the player types that you think the Celtics should be looking at that would help fill out this roster?
It has to be front court depth. You know, the Daniel Gaffords of the
Mhm.
world, that type of player, the Day'Ron Sharps of the world. I think we just
Yeah.
need somebody else, like at the end of this game when Luka Garza's out there getting cooked. Like, we need somebody else that can hold down the fort. If Kata can only play 25 minutes a night, we need someone that can play the end of the game if it's not Kata.
Yeah.
Because if Tatum, here's my thing: if Tatum doesn't come back this year, I don't want the Celtics to make a trade to improve the team. I think if Tatum's not coming back, it's get rid of Anthony Simons or get rid of a Sam Hauser, somebody like that. Um, but if Tatum is coming back, I think you have to go all in on the season and really try and find an upgrade at the front court position. Perfect world, it's Zubac or something like that. Like we've mentioned
Mhm.
before on the pod, I would probably pick Sharp over Claxton from the Nets if they were to get rid of one of their bigs, just because of salary concerns.
Yeah.
But Claxton's a better player. But it's gonna my answer all season is gonna be another big man.
Has the way Anthony Simon's been playing changed your mind about him being the trade piece? Let's say Tatum's coming back
Mhm.
hypothetically, and it's going to cost Simons and 2 first round picks to go get Zubac. Is that still a slam dunk?
If you get Zubac out of that, yeah, you got to get Zubac. But I've said all season I want to see Simons play
Yeah.
with Tatum, right? I don't want to trade Simons until I've
Well, that's
seen.
why I'm asking if there's any more pause to it, because this Simon, like the Simons that's been the last, as much as I'm still finding my way towards warming up to him, the last couple games really helped.
Mhm.
Like I can see the vision a lot more. Like, I'm wondering if it's going to give you hesitation on making, maybe it's not Zubac, but maybe it's for another big, for a
Yeah,
gaffer.
I wouldn't want to do a Simons trade if it were for somebody like Claxton. I like Simons now, man. I think he's
Mhm.
really bought into the system. There were some good quotes out of him, just talking about how much he's grown up here in Boston, how much he's learned here in Boston. And it seems like he's bought into Joe Mazzulla. He's bought into the philosophy. He's okay coming off the bench. I think defensively, he has his physical limitations, but I think he's in the right spots for the most part. He's a good communicator, moves his feet really well. And, even tonight when he got that big offensive rebound and the little reverse layup, like that was a big
Mhm.
moment for him. He's starting to do
Yeah.
some more of those gritty things. It's just nice to have someone that can hit contested, tough shots. And you saw that a couple times tonight. Like, there's very few guys on this team that can have Aaron Gordon one-on-one in the perimeter and just rip through one dribble, pull up, and get a shot off over Aaron Gordon. He was able to do that tonight. I don't want to trade him right now, honestly. I think if we could bring him back at a smaller number, like 3 years, I don't know, 75 million, something like that, like I'd be okay
Mhm.
with that.
Yeah, I mean, I'd still be more comfortable at about 60 million, but I hear your point, and
Yeah.
I do think, the way I felt about trading Anthony Simons a couple weeks ago, where it's like, yeah, just whatever. Like there was a rumor. This is like purely to save money. Like, what about like Anthony Simons for Terrence Mann? Like now, I'm like, no, I'm
Mhm.
not doing that
Yeah,
deal.
no, no, no.
You know what I mean? Like I'm out on that. But I think if I could get a Gafford or Zubac, I would probably do it because I think
Mhm.
those guys, if Tatum's coming back, you're gonna replace what you're getting with Simons with some of Tatum. Pritchard's going to kind of go fall back into a certain role, and then you're just going to enhance what you have in the front court. So
Right.
I think for guys like that, I would probably do it. And I think those guys are both on contracts that would go beyond just this season. So it's kind of some long-term building as well. Guys like that, I would still do it. Claxton, I wouldn't do it. I'm just not a big Claxton guy, so I don't think I would do it. But
Yeah.
it's interesting now, and I'm sure we'll get a lot more rumors that are coming out here over the next couple of weeks. One thing I wanted to do here, Greg, I'm going to spring this on you a little bit here. It's in the title, so you might have seen it before we log on here. But I did want to talk a little bit about the case for Derrick White to be an All-Star. His game tonight, not the best game for him, but I think Derrick White over the last month and a half or so, despite the fact that his shooting numbers have stayed relatively low, but he's taken them at a certain volume that is still making him a threat, even though he's shooting about in the mid 30s. He's doing so much else that it's so hard to ignore. Like they said the stat in the broadcast tonight where I think I knew it, but I didn't know the exact number, but that he's ninth in block shots in the league. That's insane.
That's
That's
crazy.
just
Yeah.
ridiculous. He's
And he's such a
averaging
good
3
defensive
stocks
player.
per game. It's just crazy. And the other thing I was thinking of is there's a play that's becoming very common for Derrick White. I think we need to find a name for it. It's kind of similar to the GTA, the Grand Theft Alvarado, where Derrick White just kind of comes along the baseline and he does it both offensively and defensively, where he just kind of sneaks along, traces the ball, and then kind of like pickpockets the guy if it's a defensive rebound, keeps an offensive possession going, or if they get an offensive rebound, he turns it into a block shot. There's like this little sneak behind the baseline that he's been
Mm.
doing that is coming up more and more. I'm going to try and find a couple clips of it, but I
White
feel
collar
like we
crime?
gotta. What's that? What?
White
Ooh,
collar crime?
I like that. That's not bad. That's not bad. That's pretty good. Now that we gotta, is that a white collar crime? WCC. Trying to see if there's like a good quick way to pop it out there. But I like that. We're thinking along the
Okay,
white
cool.
lines,
I
no,
like
the
it.
right lines.
Yeah, I do
uh,
think that just looking at the standings right now, right?
yep.
The Pacers, the Wizards, and the Nets. Well, the Nets might get Michael Porter Jr. in there. So Pacers and Wizards don't have anybody. I'm going to say Michael Porter Jr. is an all-star this year. The
Well, hold on. I
Hornets.
have a list for you. I have a list for
Okay.
you that might help us with this.
Can I just
So
do my list off the top
off
so
the
you know what
rip,
we're
go
talking
for it.
through?
Go for
Yeah.
it.
Okay. So Hornets, I don't think they get anybody right now. If I had to pick somebody, it would probably be Nipple. Bucks get Giannis. Hawks get Jaylen Johnson. The Bulls, I'm gonna say they don't get anybody. The Heat probably get one, maybe, and it's probably Norm Powell. So Norm Powell's on there. The Magic, that's an interesting one just because of injuries, but I'm gonna just
Yeah.
throw Paolo in there. Cavs get Mitchell. I don't think Mobley has like played deservingly of an all-star spot. Sixers get Maxey. Raptors, it's probably Scotty Barnes, and then you're at the top 3, right? I don't know how many people I just named, but the Pistons are going to get 2. The Knicks are probably going to get 2. Celtics get Jaylen Brown, and if there's one more spot, you got to give it to Derrick White.
So here's what I wrote down. So I wrote down in my mind, I have 8 locks, and then I had a list of fringe guys with at least 2 that I think are likely. So that would give you 10. And I will say, I didn't know this until so it's 12 guys, but okay, let me lay this out because a few things changed that I didn't know about until literally today. So 12 guys make the team. However, they need to have, for the new stupid whatever format, need to have 16 Americans and 8 international guys. And if they ends up being like, let's say 15 US and 9 international guys, then I think Adam Silver just comes in and is like, all right, this guy is now an all-star. And they just add one more all-star to make the format work. Okay. So there could be extra spots available, but that's kind of the setup. And they change it so that now doesn't have to be like 2 guards, 3 front court, 2 backup guards. It's just whatever. There's positionless, which makes a lot more sense because who cares? It's a fucking all-star game. It should just be the best players. So with that being said, here's what I wrote down. I had 8 locks out of the 12 spots. Tell me if you disagree with any of these. I've got Jaylen, Tyrese Maxey, Jalen Brunson, Giannis, Donovan Mitchell, Jalen Johnson, Cade Cunningham, and Cat. Those are my 8 locks.
Yeah.
Agree with all of those?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree with all
and then I had a list of fringe guys, which you touched on a couple of them here. And D White is in this mix. So I'll list off the guys that I had listed. I think it covers just about everybody that you said. So I had Derrick White, I had MPJ, had Norm Powell. I had Siakam on here, just a fringe guy. I didn't have him as a guy I think is going to make it, but a fringe guy. It's funny that you said the Magic is a weird situation. I put down Franz and Paolo, and I'm a Paolo guy. I didn't want to put Paolo down. I think it's Franz if he ends up playing, whoever ends up playing more games out of the 2. But it is weird. It doesn't feel like with injuries, any of those guys really kind of should be on the team. But I put Franz and Paolo both down as fringe. I would probably lean Franz, but kind of a toss-up. Jalen Duren, Scotty Barnes, Brandon Ingram, Evan Mobley. And out of those fringe guys, so there's 8 out of the 12 that I put were locks. I highlighted Duren and Barnes as 2 guys that I feel like are probably going to get there. Second Piston, one of the Raptors. And then that would leave 2 spots between the group of Derrick White, Michael Porter Jr., Norm Powell, Pascal, Franz, Paolo, Ingram, and Mobley. And I got to think D White's got a pretty strong case, especially if the Celtics remain in those top 2 or 3 over the next, 2-3 weeks as the team gets announced. To me, it feels like this. If there's going to be a time, this is the D White run right now to get in the game. He's 18.4 points per game. It's career high. 5.3 assists, right around a career high. 4.3 rebounds, 3 stocks per game. All NBA level defense every single night. Just makes winning plays, even when he's not shooting the ball well. I think right now I'm leaning towards I think he gets in.
Yeah, I'm trying to pull up Norm Powell's numbers, man. Norm Powell's playing great basketball. 24 points on pretty much 50% shooting, 42% from 3, 86% from the line, 3.7 rebounds, 2.7 assists, and then 3.2 stocks.
Yeah, that's good numbers. I mean,
no, sorry, 1.5 stocks. 1.5.
Okay,
stocks.
I was gonna say that sounded a little high for Norm Powell with the stocks, but yeah, he's been good. Michael Porter Jr. I think is a guy who I think he's one of the more fascinating potential trade pieces. Like I'm not the first one to say it, but like him to Detroit, I think is really, really interesting. Just giving them more size and shooting. Yeah, I mean, I think Norm Powell, because I think the Heat do feel like they've been good enough to probably have an all-star. What are they, 3 games above 500? Like, and that feels pretty good for them, right? Like not knowing what they were going to be coming into the year. So I think out of the guys that if I'm putting Duren and Barnes on my team to make 10, yeah, I mean, I think because I would probably factor in winning, and I'm with you. I don't think Mobley's in. We've been waiting for the Mobley breakout year and thought it happened. We've thought it's happened like 4 different times already over the last couple of years, and then it just seems to not be. And so I think you could make the case for Mobley, but I think relative to his expectations, it's disappointing.
And the lack of team success.
In the lack of teams, exactly. So you can couple it with that, where you can't just be like, all right, well, we got to get a second Cav in. I think the last two spots, I think I would have no problem with Norm Powell and D White, just given the Magic situation's been kind of weird that you can toss it up to too many injuries. We don't know who to pick. No one comes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think Michael Porter Jr. needs to be on the team. I think he's playing great, and the Nets are just better than I think a lot of people thought they'd be at this point. So I want to see. I also want to see him not in Brooklyn. I do want to see him get traded to someone because, dude, he was a big part of the Nuggets. Like people just
Yeah,
acted like he didn't do anything for the Nuggets. He was really hurt in last year's playoffs. Like he couldn't lift his arm over his head,
dude.
and people was
Have
acting
you
like he's a
seen?
scrub
Have you seen the stories about like the ankle brace that he wears from
because
like
he.
his
But yeah,
dude? It is like it. The way it's described makes it sound like it's a piece of Iron Man suit. Like it sounds insane to have to put on like I think about when we go play pickup hoops and I have to fucking sit there and put on my like ankle braces. Like it's that, but times a million with like, no, you need guys with like a screwdriver to come put this thing in. Like it's pretty intense. So it's pretty impressive what Porter has been able to do. And you're right, he was like he's one of the best shooters in the league. Like I do
Mhm.
think the Pistons getting him is a bit of a game changer. Like I think he
Yeah.
doesn't necessarily give them the secondary ball handler they need, but like the spacing and the size that he could play with to couple that with when you have Beef Stew and Duran and Asar Thompson's an athletic freak, like just the space that would give Cade as well. Like I think that's a big time winning move for the Pistons without having to probably give up whatever it would take to
Inter-
get someone like Lowry Markkinen.
I think it'd be a really interesting move for the Thunder to go get him. I've been thinking a lot about this with
Ooh,
that Lou Dort contract.
okay.
Attach a pick or two, you know, I think
They
that
got
would
him.
actually make a lot of sense. And then they get the shooter that they desperately need because the 3-point shot is their Achilles heel right now. So I think it,
Yeah, they look human all of a sudden.
yeah, add a little bit more size. I saw they were only up by like 5 on the Jazz heading into the fourth quarter tonight too. So that's one that I'm putting out there right now. I think you're going to hear some rumors about Michael Porter Jr. to the Thunder.
I like that one. You're kind of on fire right now. What else you got? What else? What else are what you got in that mind of yours that you think would be interesting or that you've given a little thought to?
Shit, man. I don't know that I have any more NBA takes. I got some like life takes and TV show takes, but
Ooh,
that's
what
probably all I
TV
got
show?
for
'Cause
NBA.
I have a TV show take as well. So what's the TV show take you got?
Okay, I haven't finished Stranger Things. I saw you tweet something
Oh,
about Stranger Things, so
I
we
just
can't
finished it
talk
last
about that
night.
yet.
Okay.
I did finish Pluribus.
Oh yes, I have takes on this. Tell me what you got.
Okay, so one thing I was thinking about was on the last pod when we were doing all those awards, I was thinking of giving the Celtics the Mr. Diabate award for like making
Mhm.
the best of an apocalypse. So the Jason Tatum injury and like shedding all the salary, but now we
Wait,
just
is
wait.
that the French guy?
Yeah, this is the French guy who
Okay,
has
yeah, yeah, yeah.
orgies all the time. Um,
Yeah, he's the
like
man.
that feels like that feels like Celtics Nation. This year is like we've made the best of an apocalypse, and now we're just like
Mm.
dating supermodels and playing out Bond movies with everything that's happening this season. So that was an award I didn't get to, was the Mr. Diabate from Pluribus Award. But I just thought that show did such a good job of making you question your own morals and your own ethics and your own integrity, and allowed you to see how you might be, of the 13 survivors. Sorry for anyone that wanted to watch Pluribus, we're spoiling it right now. But
Spoiler alert.
of the 13 survivors, I think you could see a bit of yourself in each of those 13. Um, the worst part of me would be Mr. Diabate. The best part of me, I think, would be actually, hot take, Lakshmi,
Mhm.
the Indian lady who just like, I just want to be with my son. Like, what are you
Yeah,
doing?
she wants to
Like,
be with her family,
yeah.
and her grandpa keeps dying because the white lady keeps getting upset.
Oh, how brutal is she?
Dude, so, okay. Interesting show. I thought the first 2 episodes were pretty amazing. I was really just the premise of the show kept me
Mhm.
going the entire time. Like,
Yeah.
there was enough juice in the premise of this show to keep you going if you haven't watched it. I gotta be honest, the last, like, 7 episodes just felt like, "Is something gonna fucking happen besides just hanging out with this lady who is honestly not that fun to hang out with?" Like,
She's
I
not. She
like
is not a good hang, dude.
bad hang, and, like, for the show to primarily be just you with her, like, 70% of the time. It got a little tough towards the end, and like, how many more times do we have to hear that voice message? For what, 4 straight episodes, we heard her get the same voice message. Like, I get it. The first time they did it, like, several times, making a point. I get it. We didn't need 3 to 4 episodes of that same voice message over and over again. And by the end, when, you know, I don't have to give away everything. Well, then again, I don't really think much happens. So, like, just like to your point, gives you time to think about, like, what are they trying to say? And I don't know, smelling their own farts a little bit is what I walked away
I
with.
haven't listened to any breakdowns of the show or anything like that.
I haven't either.
Okay, so let's just talk about it. What do you think the show is actually commenting on?
To be honest, I haven't thought too much about it. I've thought about, like, the question that you asked before, like, what would I do in this situation, right? And I think it's interesting the point you made of, like, I would probably do a little bit of everything that I saw. Like, I would probably go to, like, a museum and be like, "Oh, this is dope. Let me just put it in my house." Like, that sounds awesome. Also, I'd
Dude, that
probably
was actually a great moment where she's at the museum and she's like, "Wait a minute, I could just steal this painting? Yeah, let's fucking go." Yeah.
Yeah, that was great. Like there are things that were really good about it, but what it's commenting on, I have, so I didn't see this on a podcast. I think I saw it, like, just on, like, a Twitter article that, I don't know, it's commenting on, like, artificial intelligence
Yeah.
taking over the,
Yeah.
like, I've seen that.
That's what I think. Yeah.
Yeah. And maybe that is what it is. I don't know. I haven't thought about this enough, because I've been more focused on, like, what would I do, and then will something happen in this show, or is it just going to be a giant setup for season 2? Because that's what the last, like, 8 episodes were.
Do you think you'd be able to make it through that jungle with all, like, the crazy spikes and bugs?
Fuck no. First of all, like, here's the one thing I will say. I know for a fact I wouldn't be that guy. I
Okay.
would not be. There's no way I'm leaving, 10 pesos. I forget where he's from. Maybe he's from Latin America.
Paraguay.
Yeah, he's from Paraguay. So it's like, I'm not leaving money on people's, windshields, because I had this, and I wouldn't be sucking gas out. Like, the focus on, like, okay, this is fucked up and wrong. We got to figure out how to fix it. Yes, but I would also, that part of, what's the main lady's name? I don't know why I'm blanking on it. I
Carol.
watched a couple. Carol. Like, the way that she started gathering information and, like, making a plan. I see that. Like, I see that part. I'm like, yeah, like, I mean, yo, open up my Sprouts. Let me just go shopping. And,
Well,
like,
here's a question I wanted to ask. What would be
Yeah.
the one store you would demand stayed open?
Ooh. Well, it's so interesting. Well, because, like, the other thing I've thought about is, like, everything's free, right? Like, so it would probably, I would just sample all of the best restaurants and then just figure out,
Oh,
like,
so you'd be like, "Hey, like, you are now, but I'm enslaving the entire world. I want every restaurant open."
well, I'm gonna try one at a time, but yeah, like, why not? I mean that this is apparently what they do. But if I had to pick, like, just a single one, I mean, I think the grocery store is the way to go, and just find, like, the best, whatever, Trader Joe's or Whole Foods, whatever your pick is. That's probably the way. Well, especially because it depends. Then you got to figure out, like, I think it would take time to get there, because I think initially the reaction is F all these people. I got to figure out, like, what to do. But then once it's kind of like the rest of the world is like, yeah, we don't want to help you. Then it's like, all right, well, I guess there's only 14 of us. Like, let me make the best of it for a little bit, I guess. Like, and then plan in secret. The planning in secret, I think, was the part that is, like, the most realistic for me. That it's like, once you settle in, it's like, okay, but I'm gonna also make sure I, like, have a backup plan here, because I don't trust these people at all.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I
What would
think,
you give the show? Like, as a grade, or as
well,
as a
here's the
grade,
thing.
what would you give it?
I heard a lot of people talking about it like it was the best show of the year. So I went
Yeah,
in
it's
with
not.
really high expectations, and it didn't meet those expectations whatsoever, mostly because Carol's such a bad hang.
Yeah.
I liked her on Better Call Saul. It's just
I
like the
never saw Better Call
character.
Saul. I looked her up recently. I've never seen anything else she's in, because I've never seen Better Call Saul.
Better Call Saul is a good watch.
I've heard that's good.
Yeah, tough to get through a few plot points in that, but overall it's a good show. I don't know, man. Like a 6 out of 10. My issue, like, you were, like, so pumped about the premise. Like, to me, I prefer a show like Three Body Problem. I don't know if you watched Three Body
I
Problem.
did, which I liked. People didn't seem to like it, but I don't think it got a second
Crazy,
season.
man.
I thought it was
People think
good.
Pluribus is better than Three Body Problem. I think it definitely allows you to access more elements of like your humanity and like probably get a
Mhm.
little bit more introspective about your own life. But in terms of just like pure enjoyment of watching a show for entertainment, Three Body Problem blows it out of the water.
Yeah. Yeah, that was I'm with you. I had a much better if I had to rate the times that I had watching those 2 shows, it's no question. Three Body Problem was much more enjoyable, but it is interesting, like, to your point, the expectations you have when going into something. We talk about this with the Celtics all the time, like how reality and expectations, like, kind of converge together. And I had that same experience with, like, I was catching up on some movies that I hadn't seen, over the break, saw one battle after another, saw Weapons, and like both of those had like just gotten like a lot of hype before I saw them.
How was
And they're
Weapons?
both Weapons was good. I liked Weapons. So I saw 3 movies over the break. Those 2 and then the new Knives Out movie. I think it's like Dead Man Walking.
Yeah.
Which I
I
actually
like
like. I thought
that
it was
one.
pretty it was very entertaining. I really liked, like, if I had to rank those 3, One Battle After Another was the best one. Then it was the Knives Out movie. And then it was Weapons. Weapons was good. I think, again, this is where I think the hype of people being like, people told me they liked it better than Sinners. I'm just like, you're crazy if you think it's better than
Mm,
Sinners.
Sinners is so good.
And it's in a similar genre of like thriller, a little bit more horror than thriller, but it's like in that same space. And I'm just like, Sinners was so much better. Maybe not so much better, but it's better. Like, it's hard for me to see it as better. But then again, maybe I saw Sinners in a movie theater, saw Weapons at home. That also plays a part.
Mhm.
But it was solid. I would recommend giving it a watch. I had to wait for my wife didn't want to watch it. I kept trying to show her the trailer or sneak it in. Like, you want to give me the remote? All right, I'm gonna make my choice. And she's like, no, I'm take it back. So I had to watch it by myself. But I liked it, and I'd recommend giving it a watch for sure.
Okay. Cool. Have you got your copy of Mark's book?
Do I have my copy? Just got
Let's
it
go.
today. Hot off the press, hot off the Amazon truck here. We got it for you. The Dead Know Nothing by Mark James McDonough, an avid motorcycle enthusiast. He doesn't own one or know how to ride them, but he likes to sneak into people's driveways and sit on them. Hey, that's Mark McDonough for you. Hopefully, we'll have him on the podcast here soon so we can give you a little bit more insight into his book. Once again, I forget what's the title here. The
The
Dead
Dead Know
Know
Nothing.
The Dead Know Nothing. So
Yeah, it's from the
we'll have
Bible.
more for you guys here. We're going to wrap up this episode. Celtics fall to the Nuggets. Coming up this weekend here, real quick. Raptors on Friday night, and then Wemby and the Spurs. Wemby's back. Wemby's playing tonight, I believe, right now against the Lakers. That was the second game of the doubleheader. Wemby, at least the last game. I'm going to check this here just real quick before we sign off. See if he's coming off the bench again. He's coming off the bench. I think Wemby's going for 6th man of the year.
I think
Wemby,
I think he should come off the bench the rest of the year.
he's just I think he's addicted to it. He's been
Well,
playing well off the
he
bench
lasted
too.
2 games as a starter and then he got hurt.
Yeah, maybe that's the role. What if Wemby's just like, all right, 1 year I'm gonna win defensive player. He's gonna win defensive player probably multiple times. This year it's 6th man. Next year it's MVP. Next year he just picks different years and he just starts winning awards.
Love it.
Very well could be. So we'll see where Wemby is come Saturday night. But the Luke Cornett return game, can't wait for that. That will be a lot of fun.
He's gonna get
We'll have
standing up.
some. Oh, dude, maybe for 3 minutes. Like it's gonna be insane. We'll have stuff for you on Sunday. We'll record sometime and get you our thoughts on that, probably in advance, early in the day, just so we can be ready for Pat's Chargers that night. Let's go. Playoff football is back. Actually, very, very excited to watch that. Greg, I will talk to you on Sunday. And for everybody out there, enjoy the rest of your week. We'll catch you this weekend. Peace.